I wasn't as like shocked as he was. I was like, oh, she's faking. Maybe I watched too much TV, but I was like, oh, that's a faker right there. She once she said, why didn't you choose me? I was like, she's gonna. And then that scene came up. I was like, oh, she's trying to show that he should have chosen her.
I didn't know what she was doing with the knife at first. I was like, okay, this movie just took a turn, you know.
I know. I thought she was gonna kill him.
Definitely good. Yeah.
I would have been ready for that too. Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Dell.
And this is the Black Catch-Up. We're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
All right, so today a bit of a recent one.
Yes,
Malcolm and Marie.
Yeah, this came out last year. So, as always, IMDb. A director and his girlfriend's relationship is tested after they return home from his movie premiere and face each other's turmoil during one long night.
Yeah, definitely was a long night.
Yeah. So this movie stars Zendaya and John David Washington and no one else.
Yeah.
So
I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna start off with things we liked.
I can kick it off. I like the overall like premise and like acting and dialogue in this one. I like how it was just like, there were cuts, but it was essentially just you pretty much just watch them the whole time. In this, he gets home, like you kind of slowly see them like get ready for bed essentially, but
yeah,
they're like arguing the whole time. But I thought they both did a very good job of like conveying all the emotions. Like there were moments where they're angry at each other, but like still laughing with each other. So like.
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought like there was this great chemistry between them. It was just and like even the dialogue, like the things they were saying also I thought were just very like interesting and good. And I like how you kind of like each time they attacked each other, you kind of like got another piece of the puzzle. Like you peeled back a little layer of either his movie he made or something about his speech, something in the relationship from before, something about her drug addiction. So I just thought it like did a good job of just blending all that together and just very well executed.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I'm always a fan of movies where it takes place over like one location or one day, and you just kind of feel like stuck in this one place with your characters for a long amount of time. So I always love that. And it was a beautifully shot movie. Like there were lots of beautiful camera work, especially like at the beginning where it looked like one long unbroken shot. And we would like pause on her while he was pacing. And then we'd like follow him pacing for a bit while she's off screen. But yeah, it was a beautiful movie overall. I've got some specific scenes that I liked. So one of the first scenes was the bathtub scene with where Malcolm's just like laying into Marie about his past relationships, and Marie's just in the tub crying, and just that was really well acted on both their parts. Like the acting in general was really good, but that was one of the scenes that really showcased it.
Yeah, and one other thing I really liked about the movie in general is how they use like the pauses and monologues felt natural and like made sense. Like in that bathroom scene, like I forget which movie, like I was complaining in like the Genius documentary how like people just let Kanye monologue kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
But like in this movie it works so well because you see Zendaya or Marie kind of just going through it in the bathtub, like why she's silent,
Yeah.
But I agree. I like that scene. Another scene I really liked the scene where Marie comes out with the knife and pretends she's still on drugs. Yeah, no, that scene was just great, and like his face of like shock, like oh no, like I'm believing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just very very good, and like she definitely played that part well.
Yeah, and then it turns out she was just acting the scene from his script or something like that. That was really good. Another scene that I liked was after Malcolm got his review, that whole like rant where he was going on about that while Marie's like lying on the couch and she's like kind of making fun of him but kind of like empathizing with him. That was one of the scenes where I was like, oh, I can see why you two are together, because they're fighting the whole night, and a lot of times when you see people fighting the whole night, you're like, this isn't worth it. Like, you don't need to stay together.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you don't need to do that. But that scene in particular was definitely, like, kind of a peek into how the relationship is on a good day, I guess. So it made sense that they were together, and I liked the chemistry they had with each other.
Yeah, yeah. I also had that scene down, but specifically him like reading the review and kind of twisting all the positive words into like some like negative grand scheme to be against him kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like even with that, I think he did like bring up pretty valid points. You know, at least like obviously like we don't see the movie or we don't see anything about it, but there is a thing where like, you know, people of color are always expected to be, you know, speaking out on like culture or like speaking out on these like social issues kind of thing, you know. So I definitely had that scene down as well.
Yeah, I definitely got that because, as you said, like on the Black Panther tour, just thinking about that movie, like every single time they were there, I was like, you know, what does this mean for the community? They didn't get like fun white people questions, I guess, where it's like you get to say, who was like the biggest prankster on set? Like, no, it's always like, what does this film mean to the entire Black community? And go.
Yeah.
Like, so it's that kind of thing. And speaking of that scene, it also like John David Washington is Denzel Washington's son. There were so many times when he said something in his like cadence and the way he acted, I was like, yeah, you're Denzel's son. Like, I get that. It was never in a bad way or a way where it's like, oh, it's just like kind of how like you see a kid and it's like, that reminds me of your parent. I think the last scene I had was, Marie's monologue about thank yous at the end. I thought it was just like really well done. Yeah. Like, no, that was like the last speaking, like main speaking of the movie. And it just was like a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
And he's like crying at the end. I was like, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's just about all I had as well.
Yeah, that's all I have too.
All right. Getting into negatives now.
Yeah.
Guess you want to kick it off?
Okay, so let's see. Some of mine are more nitpicky than others. We're gonna go with one that might be a controversial one. Get that out of the way. And while I think this movie was shot absolutely beautifully and it looked wonderful, I didn't understand the black and white. Like, it didn't feel as though it was... I don't know if it was trying to be a thing where it, like, strips them of everything and you just see them, but to me, the black and white was kind of distracting. And it's not even like I don't like black and white films. Like, we saw Passing recently, and I'm pretty sure that was my second 5 out of 5 of this entire channel. I can watch a black and white film, but to me, it kind of didn't add anything other than just, like, Sam Levinson, who he's also the writer, director, all of that of Euphoria. It kind of was him, like, swinging his, like, director dick, being like, oh yeah, I can make this look beautiful in, like, black and white. I didn't know how to shoot in black and white, but it kind of, to me, it didn't add anything to the story, and it was a little bit distracting.
Okay, yeah. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I think now that you're mentioning it, like, I'm kind of, like, in my head chalking it up to the main guy is, like, kind of an artist, so maybe it, like, kind of goes with that theme, but...
I can see it. But to me, it was just, like, I don't... And the problem is, it seems like sometimes he would give, like, these meta things where it's like, art is just art. It doesn't have to have a reason. And I'm like, I know it doesn't have to have a reason, but this one is, like, a big thing that, to me, doesn't have a reason.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. I think a lot of mine, I feel like we're kind of nitpicky, too. The one, like, main thing I had... this one gave me like that kind of uncomfortable feeling I've mentioned before from like Pursuit of Happiness or like Uncut Gems kind of thing. I just like wanted them to like stop fighting and just go to sleep, you know? And like that, like it's I put it in the negative category, but like I always think it's like kind of a consequence of the good acting and the good storytelling. But yeah, I definitely kind of was like sitting there uncomfortably for a lot of the movie, especially like because they were like really digging into each other too. Like they were like. Definitely, like, a lot of low blows in this one, so it was definitely, like, a little uncomfortable during this one.
It did feel like you were watching an actual couple fight, and you were like...
Yeah.
Should I go home
sitting in the
now?
room watching, like, you're at dinner, and just, like, you see the couple start fighting over the table, you're just sitting there awkwardly, you know?
You're like, oh, are we still doing this? And I'm here, too? The other thing, this is also a nitpicky thing, because they explained it, but that didn't mean I still didn't like it. But, the house, I didn't like the house. It kind of was They explained it away as that the production company like set them up in this house so that he could work, which fine, good dandy. However, there were like multiple things I didn't like about the house. One, I couldn't understand the blueprint layout of the house. So when they would like move somewhere, I was like, I kind of don't know where we are, and I felt a little lost in the house. And also, I understand it was maybe supposed to be kind of like a neutral ground in the way that like no one. It's not like she's living at his house and she feels kind of like an outsider, or he's living at her house and da da da. Like no one has the upper hand on this house. But to me, it didn't feel like their house, so I didn't like it because it felt like they kind of like stumbled on a set and were like, and now we're gonna argue. But it's like supposed to be this thing where they're at home after an event and arguing. But it felt like they were just like almost on a stage arguing, and it like I feel as it would have been stronger if I could one, understand the layout of the house, and two, if it like looked more like their house.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree and add that part of what made me uncomfortable is like the house is like in the middle of nowhere, it seems.
Yeah.
So like in my head I'm like hoping like one of them leaves, but like it seemed like there was nowhere to go. like even go ahead.
No, I just said yeah, I agreed with you.
Yeah, no, even at the end, that was kind of my other point. Like, I kind of wanted Marie to leave at the end. I'm, like, okay that she didn't, but I kind of wanted her to leave at the end. But again, like, the house was in the middle of nowhere. So, like, while I wanted her to leave, I was, like, very concerned had she left. Because, again, like, it seemed like they were in the middle of nowhere. Like, I don't even think I saw a driveway. You know, it seemed like there were, like, shots and it just, like, literally looked like, again, like you said, like a stage almost in the middle of the woods. Like,
yeah. Because that, like, kind of brings me to my last point where I wish the status of the relationship was a little more of a mystery. When I read the Wikipedia on this afterwards, I tend to do that with all the movies you watch just to, like, make sure I didn't miss anything, like, big. It said something about, like, how, and we were kind of like, the status of the relationship is unknown. To me, it never was. And I think something interesting about watching people fighting is kind of like, are they going to stay together after this, or are they going to leave? But for this one, I never got a sense that either of them would leave. Maybe it has to do with the fact that their house was in the middle of nowhere, and like if they left, it would be a whole big to-do that you would actually have to explain because how did you leave? Like, I don't see a car anywhere. Like, there's just hills. Like, where are you geographically? So that was it. But also, it kind of like, Marie says that Malcolm was codependent. She was also codependent. I didn't see her leaving. Like at the end, it kind of is like, oh, she's not in the bed with him. But there was no point in this thing where I was like, are they gonna stay together? Because for me, it was like, yeah, they kind of are. Like this relationship, this fighting is just what they do. They're that couple that fights.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree because I don't really think I ever thought they weren't gonna be together. Like I wanted her to leave, but like I don't think I ever really thought they weren't gonna be together. You know, and I know had she left, it wouldn't have gotten explained in the movie. Like, I think I would have been okay without the final scene of them like being outside. I don't know. Like, or maybe actually, I think I prefer that scene there. Maybe I feel like it goes better with the idea that she won't leave. You know, but
yeah. But I guess for me, that just robbed it of the tension. It was just like watching people fight who like, you're not gonna break up. Like, we can stop now.
Yeah.
At least for me.
I think that's why I was either leave or just go to sleep. You know, like just go to bed, like talk about this in the morning when you guys are like, I don't know, after a good night's sleep because they all like tend to just seem high. You know,
They started this at 1 a.m. Like I don't eat that late in general, so that would never have been me like making I'm not making food at 1 a.m. I need to be asleep.
Yeah.
But after that, I would have been like, yeah, I'm mad, but I'm just gonna go to bed angry at this point, like.
Yeah.
Nothing productive is going to happen now.
Let's continue this in the morning. Like, I'm pretty sure the guy was like drinking like after like the party. Like everyone's tired. Like nothing productive would have happened. You know. But okay, are we ready for ratings?
Yeah.
I guess you want to kick it off.
I can kick it off. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. I thought the chemistry between John David Washington and Zendaya was wonderful, and that they're incredible actors in general, but this was a real showcase for them. For me, it got kind of boring at times because again, it was just dialogue, just people talking, not so much action, like as in things happening. And again, the black and white was a bit distracting for me, only because I didn't understand the point. And as the character says, sometimes art doesn't have to have a point, but like, no, this was like a big choice you made. I kind of needed to have a point. And overall, there were just great shots, and it was a beautiful film.
Okay. Yeah, I gave it a 3.5 as well. Beautiful film, beautiful acting. I think what took away from it for me was also like, again, it got boring at times. Like, I agree. Especially like, again, like some of those like beauty moments kind of sacrifice, like, were like chosen over like entertainment almost, you know?
Yeah.
So like you get a lot of those scenes of like people just kind of standing around or walking around, which like, yes, are beautiful to look at, but at times I find myself kind of like looking away or like doing something else. And then the other thing, there's always that like uncomfortable tension that hurts movies a little bit for me that I mentioned before. So yeah, I had to take off a little bit for that as well. But yeah, definitely like great acting and a very like beautiful movie. And I also think it's like different as well. You know, like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen many movies like this, or like this like drama romance movie of them like kind of just arguing for the whole movie in like that like uncut kind of way. So yeah, it was definitely a good watch.
Yeah. Final question: do you wish you saw this sooner, or I guess our alternative is, do you wish a movie like this was made sooner? I don't know how that applies here either, but that's the question.
Yeah, it's like sort of no for me. Like I almost wish I had seen more movies like this, but I don't think like this one in particular. It needed to be like this one in particular. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like kind of a no for me. Like I definitely did enjoy it though.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a soft no as well. Part of me does wish I saw it sooner, only because I wanted to see it. Like when I remember seeing like trailers for it and being like, oh, I want to see that. And again, I think I said this for the United States versus Billie Holiday. Sometimes I do just want to like start watching movies when I say I want to see them. So that's always like an underlying thing for me. But I don't mind that I didn't see this immediately when I said I wanted to.
Okay. The one thing I'll add as like a reason for me wanting to see this now versus earlier is now I've seen like Euphoria, and I feel like this almost feels like her like after Euphoria getting clean.
Yeah,
and then
this
talking
feels
to
like
this
Rue
guy.
grown up.
Yeah. So that's one vote for
this,
now.
I don't know when this will come out. Probably in like months at this point. I don't know. But when this comes out, like Euphoria would have like just had its season 2 finale. So that was part of why I picked this one. This was my pick. That was part of why I picked it. I was like, I miss Euphoria. Let's do this. And then in the middle of it, I realized that Sam Levinson like directed it, and I was like, oh, so this is like Euphoria continued on, basically.
Yeah. No, this is literally the first Sunday without Euphoria.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that was Malcolm and Marie.
Yes.
YouTube housekeeping: like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any movie suggestions for us, you can leave them in the comments down below. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of our socials will be linked in the description box down below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye! Yeah, the John David Washington is definitely Denzel's son. Like, no one could.
Oh, Denzel's son. Yeah.
No one can dispute that ever.
Yeah.
Because there were a couple times when he was during the bathtub scene, I think, and especially during the critics scene, where he would do something and like something in the cadence of his voice and the way he like, his like that. I was like, that's a Denzel thing. Like, you could tell he like grew up watching his dad and was like, yeah, I love my dad. Like.
Yeah, not a bad role model to have for a
of course
career,
not.
You know, like really.
Like, I'd watch Denzel if he was my dad. Like, of course.
Yep.